What's up, everybody? It is Jack Lloyd here, and I am back talking about some Rippaverse stuff because I've been really enjoying this ride and being able to see the Rippaverse really succeed and change people's minds about what's possible out there, exiting out of the mainstream. So I absolutely love it. I'm going to be actually talking about the fan art contest specifically. I'm going to be going through the entries and kind of giving my perspective of what I think is probably the most likely winners, the top 3 out of those. Of course, could be wrong there, but I figured I'd give it a try, take a look at some of those entries and see which ones I think are the most likely candidates to win the competition. So we're going to be taking a look at that. And of course, as always, check down below. If you're on another platform, make sure to check out the YouTube platform, subscribe there, get your notifications at youtube.com/Jack Lloyd, because that's where I can see your comments best and be able to respond to things too as I go through this. So I will also mention here really quick that I am so excited that I got the isom cover B here. I happened to see that in a store and was able to pick that up. So thank you so much for posting about that online there, Rippaverse team, because I was able to snag one of these before they all, of course, disappeared within a matter of minutes. So that felt pretty cool to be able to actually pick one up still from a local comic book shop instead of, only being able to get it from the Rippaverse website. So it's just amazing to see how people are adopting this and are picking up on this new innovative way to do comic book series as an independent totally independent comic book creator, not even with some type of publishing group, but just totally on your own. More and more people are realizing that this is possible, and the more people are willing to take those creative risks and build fan bases, the more people can exit out of the terrible paradigm, the SJW woke paradigm, central planning paradigm that is pretty much promoted on every single major media outlet, every major show and comic book series and Hollywood movie. It's really frustrating, but the future is here and we are in it right now. So I'm going to pop over here and take a look. This is on the Rippaverse website on the fan art. And as you can see, it says the contest is now closed. So it's been closed for a bit. And there were some more submissions that came in last minute from what I saw too, from when I had looked at some of that artwork before in a previous stream. So I'm going to be going through these images. Some I'm going to, kind of skip over more quickly, but I'm going to be trying to find the ones that I think are the most likely candidates. I'm going to set them off to the side when I'm done. And then I'm going to kind of give a little summary of the ones that I think are best, based their line work, color detail, their proportions, creativity, accuracy to canon. That's accuracy to the original characters as created. I think those details are really going to be what comes together to make a particular art piece stand out from the rest. So just starting here at the top, there's Armando Batista. He's done this very kind of painted style of isom. It's very impressionistic. It's not very firm on these lines. And as you can see with the eyes, there's no irises and things like that. It's a little bit, more impressionistic. So, cool piece, but definitely not comic book artwork style, modern mainstream in any way. Even the proportions are somewhat decent, considering the style. So I wouldn't even put that in the running for that first one. So Jack Hallows is next, more of a kind of flat artwork, a kind of interpretation of Yaira that gives her a kind of, I guess you could say, a weeb Japanese crossover. Fun concept. In terms of the artwork style itself, I would say the detail, is not really there with mainstream comic book, high end. So while it is definitely a fun picture, like a kind of fun reimagining, I wouldn't put this into the final running, in terms of the higher level ones. So this next one's Michael Montanat. So this is interesting because it's the face here almost looks like as if it's done with like a real picture, like kind of combining maybe painted work plus photoshopping. So interesting concept. Certainly proportions look good. I think that though the use of the mixed media, which again really looks like it's a mixture, even if it's not, it looks like a mixture of photo and painted colors, doesn't quite hit that comic book style. I would think that what they would really want. And there are some overall good details. They got the cross on isom and some of the boot details, but I wouldn't put this in the mainstream comic book format, style that they would be going for. So I don't think this would be in the running for my final countdown. Oh, and good to see some people here coming in saying hi. This is so good. Yay, thank you. And C4C said, if I had more time, they would enter this contest. Yeah, I mean, it's definitely fun to see the different styles and to enter and to play around. And there's nothing, and I want to be sure that, even if I have criticisms of any, kind, just saying that it's not a certain style and you're an artist, never keep getting better. You know what I mean? My goal here is not to shame anybody, to make anyone feel like, bad for their work. Everyone has different styles and different things. And there's always, ways that they can look good in different contexts. But my focus here is specifically for Rippaverse and isom and those kind of character designs that are kind of mainstream comic style. So I will note that, there's going to be some here that are just, not as well developed in the work, and others, are working their way there. But again, always keep on practicing and keep on growing. So as Tank here says, smash that like button, hit the bell, receive all notifications. Absolutely. So Trevor Scott Cameron has here, I'm guessing that is going to be Brian Solari. It looks like, Alpha Core. The facial structure is not very strong. It's, this is just ink work. And, the proportions are okay. The legs are a little bit too big. And since this is a little bit too unfinished, I wouldn't, put it in the running there. All right, Crossing Cosmos. So this looks like a Yaira rendition. And I would say as an art piece, it is pretty cool. Of course, this is not really using, the full color palette. It's definitely a limited color palette. But I do think that it is a pretty art piece. The line work is good. The color shading and depth is pretty good. I might set this one to the side for now. I'll open a new tab to set aside for now, just in case. But I might leave it out as I see things that are better. So Steven Sanchez here has a Yaira one. And this is a unique style for sure. The face is a bit more elongated with a narrower chin. There's some creative freedoms taken on the suit design. The finger elongation is a little bit much, and it doesn't really exactly match the style of the series. So while this is a kind of cool fan art for sure, I just don't think that this one is going to be strong enough, to carry weight to the end. But again, it's definitely got some great color balance, and it's a very unique art style to it, although it's not exactly the exact style that we look for. So, Sire Rogers, I think that's how I pronounce it. I don't know. So this is a little bit more plain styled work. Isom's got no irises. I guess he's raging out. It's definitely got some detail in terms of the blood and the action down below. I just think that the character design here is again not as strong as the can. I wouldn't necessarily put it up in the running yet, but it is a cool fan piece. Definitely, in the burgeoning, starting to get better to be that level. All right, Trevor Scott, I said Cameron. So an isom piece, definitely some creative freedom here with that belt. That the style's not exactly that. He's a little bit thicker, so there's a little bit like wider leg proportions. The face is a bit too cartoony, but again, cool sketch. I'm gonna put in the running though. So Jordan Mazel. So this is Yaira. She definitely has a bit of big anime style eyes. The proportions on the face a little bit off, but a cool rendition nonetheless. I like the energy effects. But I think that, this type of style, while cool fan art, doesn't fit within, something that would be I think a top one that would be, something that is good for a cover. Because remember, the top prize is a cover art. So the question is, would this be mainstream competitive for cover art? So I wouldn't put that, up there. Genevieve Tran. So this looks like a pencil medium, maybe a scan of a pencil. So they did a bit of work here. I'm not sure what happened to isom, if you guys eye ripped out or something weird. They definitely have the alpha core there. Yaira. It's a cool kind of fan art, but nothing that would be enough to have the proportions, detail, and character accuracy to be qualified for sure. But definitely whoever's doing this, just keep working on homing your craft and getting your proportions a little better and paying attention to some of the details in the face. So Matt McAdam here has a Yaira. Cool piece. I like the artistic background. I think that's pretty sick. It's got a very much a fantasy art appeal to it, but I would say with kind of that smoothness in the brushstroke and that shading, it's a little bit too Magic the Gathering, card piece, not really comic book style that you'd expect for this. So I don't know that I would put it up there, but it is a cool art piece for sure. All right, Bill Anstedt. So he did, this is like a very cartoony version of isom. So yeah, this wouldn't qualify, but it does feel like a web cartoon version of him for sure, like something that you would see in an animation, like almost like one of those old Flash animation things. So for that style, this could actually be good for that kind of thing, but not for comic book cover. All right, Zombie. So here's isom. Well, the proportions of the body a little bit off. The face looks a little bit too weird. These eyes, they're a little bit too wide and not proportional. Like with the lips, he's almost like puckering a bit too much. The muscles seem a little bit too cramped and not evenly spaced. So, good style. The gloss is very unique and interesting, but yeah, I wouldn't put that up there. All right, Wheeler Jones. Okay, holding yaira with isom. Yeah, I mean it's nothing too spectacular in terms of the design. It's not high level comic art. Good for like maybe just drafting some ideas and things, but definitely not enough shading detail for that high level art, and a little bit off in the proportions. For the body parts, especially isom, just a little bit on those shoulder waist angles. But again, cool stuff. All right, this is Clarence Junis Goody III. So isom here, interesting body type. The color balance is good, so at least they got that. It's got good color balance, and he did a good job with reflecting the fire. But the face here really doesn't look like isom, and I do think about that a lot when we're judging here. It's got to really look like the character, and the nose bridge and the deep-seated, eyebrow sets there. It just looks a little bit too angular to really capture him. So I wouldn't put it, on the table. Okay. Matt Chambers has a yaira. Okay. So it's like a kind of cutesy version. Almost makes me think of like maybe like a manga genre, but like that where they did American manga mix. The background, is interesting. Nothing too spectacular. It's a pretty good art piece. The proportions are somewhat okay. A little bit, more Disney-esque, almost with those really narrowed angles. But yeah, definitely would not be up there in the running. Sean Wynn, this isom, he's a little bit too square-jawed here. I would say didn't fill in the color detail on the cross either. It's okay. It's not, I would say, the best. It's starting to get closer to comic book style, but I would say the design on the face and how the T is shaped in his body just doesn't really sell it for me there. Okay. So this is Philip Space at deviantart.com. So there's isom there. Okay, that's an interesting rendition. I think the face a little bit different. It is a close-up panel. It's not quite high art, but not terrible of a rendering. Not too bad, but still not quite that high level art yet. So, all right, TR Lee. So TR Lee has drawn one of the Alpha Core members. And now I'm just slipped my mind which one this is. It's not Ingrid Valdez, Brian Solari, and then Braxwell. So I think this is Braxwell. So pretty cool. I like the epic pose. I like overall some of the details and shading on him and his body. I'm not sure that is epic enough to do it. I'm kind of on the edge here. Maybe I'll come back to it later, but it doesn't quite sell it for me. Okay, Jacqueline Morris here. We got a yaira, a little too much on the eye spread. Whenever you're drawing eyes and you're doing comic book style, you want to have about one eye length gap in between each eye and the nose. So, and her very angular jaw, again, it's a little bit too webtoony, but a cool overall art piece. Very curvy, very narrow waist, so very accentuated on certain features. All right, Lindsay Lay. So Lindsay Lay has, again, a more fantasy piece here with Yaira. There's definitely good color balance. The background's more impressionistic. I wouldn't put it up there for, a cover piece necessarily, but it's a cool fantasy art piece. Again, I would hold my reservation on that one. I'm not totally sold on that. Elijah Stanfield. Hey, I actually was talking about this piece. So funny story is, he submitted this one and he was going to do some updates on it too, because this is a real custom version of isom. He, gave him a sleeveless version. So the artwork here is, of course, excellent, great color balance, detail shading. This is a high quality art. The problem for me in terms of if they were, picking about what actually looks most canon, I'm not sure that this edition would sell it. He looks a little bit too light-skinned, almost Mexican, because of the beard style and mustache style isn't isom's. He's got a gap in between. It's supposed to be a thin mustache that goes across. So there's a couple details there that hold it back, even though this is overall, in terms of an art piece, one of the better ones. So Philip Burnett. So this is a cool Yaira. The style here definitely has an interesting rendition to it. Very more modern comic book style-y. Her facial expression is unique. The shading detail is pretty good overall. I'm just not sure that this would be cover art material. It's kind of a tough one for me. Again, it's on the edge, but I think we're going to possibly find better that really fits the genre of the style they've been sticking to. So here's Michael Montanat, very epic pose. So very good creative risk there, doing that kind of epic pose with her, and the angles. Her body form is overall pretty proportional. I think the face is pretty good. I just think that the style, it feels almost watercolory, just wouldn't exactly cut it for what is the comic book art style they have with isom. So cool piece for sure. Just not quite what I would think would be, top option. So David E. Jenkins, it's a sideways of isom. He looks like a zombie here with the white, and the line work is a little too sloppy. So, cool zombie isom maybe, but definitely not going to cut it. Millie Mitchell, I don't even know. So Yaira clearly here, a little too masculine in the body, proportions a little bit off. The face, too much eye spread, too much narrowing the jaw. Good color balance, but it's just not up to mainstream comic book style. So Dead Punk Gauge. This is someone, in terms of the style, who, be more novice. There's not a good proportionality with the hand and the face. The details are not very accurate to the actual canon stuff. So probably would not be in the running there. Michaela Bird. Okay, so this is cool. I like the angle chosen here because this is a tough angle to do and to do well, but it looks like she's got all the elements down in terms of proportions. The face is a little bit, off from what I'd say is canon, but it's a pretty good art piece. I like this as an art piece overall. Just a little bit because, the style, that coloring, it's not quite that smoothness and the crispness that you want for comic book colors. So again, close, but I'd have to hold off on that. Let's see here. Vico. So this piece, is bordering on realism. It's starting to get to that point. The line work, of course, with, more of these hatch marks keeps it from being realism, but it's more in that realism sense. I would say it's not quite the comic book genre, but I really do like the gold tones. The gold tones on this were done very well. So that's, that was a strength of this one, but I wouldn't put it up there in the running. Sean Condon. So isom. So this seems like some type of art piece. It's meant to be like a throwback, maybe like a 80s retro wave piece. Cool piece, like it's an art piece, but not quite the comic book style that they'd be going for. So TR Lee. All right, so we got Braxwell, and I'm guessing, or she's saying Braxwell are coming in. So that's Ingrid, I guess, and then Brian Solari because of the cape. missing some details. The facial expression not that close to character. It's cool. There's some half-toning pattern there that gives it like kind of a retro 80s comic feel, but not quite, the style matching up enough. So, all right, Adam Miller. So this is a very dark picture. Very fantasy art, super cool. I personally would like to have seen this get a bit brighter because it's almost too difficult to see all the details. So while the poses do look cool for fantasy art, I think this really needed to be brightened up. You just can't see what's going on that well. Thomas Rath, simple cartoony colors, facial proportions a bit off. Isom's face looks like it's smushed to become Frieza or something. So probably not in the running there. Gerald Naoan, cool artistically, great proportions in the body. I would say the art style's definitely up there. The background is cool too. So this is a cool art piece. It could be in the running. I would set that off to the side for now, just because, the line work of those stuff is pretty good and it's very comic book style and smooth, but not sold on it yet. We'll see. So this is Gerald Naoan. I don't even know how to say that. So he's got isom here. He's got some of the core details. It's a little bit simple. The blurring method for the rest of the body, I think, takes away from it. I would have liked to have seen it be more crisp. The face is a little bit not exactly on point, a little too sharp on the edges. So cool drawing, but I don't think quite up to where it would need to be. And this is Just Josh Draws. So you have a bunch of characters here: Dokumaan, Yaira, Isom, Brian, Solari, Braxwell, and Ingrid. Very cool that there's so many characters incorporated. I think that makes this piece awesome, that you have so many different characters going on. I just think stylistically, it's not going to be up there to the level and style, of mainstream, comic cover. Maybe a little bit too lackluster on the shading details, and so on and so forth. But very cool as an art piece. I really like Dokumaan. That Dokumaan part is probably one of the best elements. Reb Pierre. So Reb's got isom here. The details on the belt not so great, but it's an interesting version of him, but not quite mainstream comic book style enough. But cool in the genre. Matthew Stock, Yaira. So this has a unique art feel to it. The colors are very crisp. The gold is really good here. I would just say the details on the body and everything else is a little bit too smooth, and the face doesn't quite capture her essence. But this is a cool overall art piece. It's just not up to par, I don't think. All right, Prentice Dwayne Morris, fantasy art of Yaira. Interesting rendition. The background's okay. I mean, her pose is okay. The body a little bit weird on the shading on the abs and stuff. It looks a little bit awkward. Facial structure a little bit too glossy on the cheeks and stuff. The rosiness just makes her look a little bit too like drunk or something, or like a cartoonish in that way. So wouldn't quite fit it. Sean Wynn. Okay, so you go Brian Solari. This is overall a competent drawing. Certainly a cool rendition. The colors are decent. The angle is pretty good. Overall design's pretty good. I like the background, the cityscape. Maybe I'm on the edge for that one. We'll see. I'll keep it off to the side. Gerald Naoan. So this has got isom versus Brian Solari. I like the crack. That's cool. The crack sound. But yeah, in terms of the detail of shading the body stuff, it's just not rigorous enough, for the comic style. I think that the line works a little bit messy there. So Anthony Lopez. Okay, now we're getting serious. So Anthony Lopez did a 3D version of isom. This right here is probably in the running because like 3D art is of course unique in itself. This looks like something that could actually be made. Like this looks like it really could be a product, maybe made with resin or something. And I would say the proportions are very accurate. The detail on the body, the boots, very 3D. Everything's coming to life. The face is even pretty good. You got that chin strap and that thin stash. whoever did this is very professional. So that to me is a very likely candidate. Clarence Junis, good the third. So the isom here looks jacked, super thick, which is cool in its own right. Like I think that the designs here are pretty cool. I certainly do like this rendition. Yaira's got, super boosty, bubbles up there. Almost look like, just I guess giant grapefruits. But it's that proportion aspect, and he looks like he just did a bunch of roids, which is cool as if that was the character, but it's not quite there. So Evan Bryan. So we have isom, we got Brian Solari is punching him. I'm glad that he took this creative risk for the action sequence. The style is not quite up there. Obviously, the design characteristics and proportions are not quite up there, but I'm glad he took the creative risk of trying to make the cover here come to life and have that action sequence. So Ismail Wamala. Oh boy. So I saw here, it's a lot more like soft brush stroke. It looks like okay, his eye, it looks like he got punched in one eye or something happened. I don't know what happened. Why one eye is really wide open and the other is like really tight. Like it almost looks like someone could meme that. It's like he got punched in a nut or something. His face reminds me of gosh, what actor is it? Now I gotta go look this up. I gotta go. Hold on. I gotta think of this. So it's gonna bother me. He looks like oh. Is it Chris Lawrence? No. Lord, let me see. I'm trying to think of it now. Oh, Martin Lawrence. That's who it is. Yeah, he looks like Martin Lawrence. Oh my goodness. Yeah. It's like he really looks like Martin Lawrence there. And almost, so I don't think it's accurate to him, but I don't know what's going on with his eye, but it's scaring me. So, all right. Radu Romeo Pista. So, yeah. isom here got some cool detail on the body, a little bit weird shading on the abs. It's not quite the proportions you'd want. Missing some detail on the boots. Yeah, the background's kind of cool, but it's just the art style is not gonna cut it. So this is Rob Raymond. Okay. All right, this is cool. So now you have some third type of weird tentacle creature. Who knows what it is with Yaira and isom. I think in terms of design, this is an excellent piece. In terms of, the detail and shading, definitely excellent. The only issue is, of course, with his style, the two characters don't really look as much like the comic. So that's a tough one. It's a cool piece, but I don't know that this really fits it the way that they'd want. So I'm going to hold off on that for now, but it is a very competent art piece, a lot of detail. Tori Joka. So Yaira, yeah, this is a little too smooth on everything, too much impressionistic, but cool design for a simple version. Although the little RNG on the accents. Dylan Miracle. So Yaira here almost looks a little too young, too smooth in the face. Some of the details are right, but not quite the proportions. Gregory Roberts. So this is just what looks like pencil, maybe ink over it. I do like the hatching. It's kind of cool to see Darren there with isom and like them, as kids or something like that, like showing off that they once were friends. I think this is a really cool concept. So whoever did this did a pretty good job overall, I think, of matching the characters. I think it's just a shame that this didn't get, coloring. I think this, if this got cropped and was colored right with a good colorist, this could really be up there as something that's, a unique piece. So overall, pretty good line work, pretty mainstream comic competitive. It needed a colorist for it. So Miguel Almonte. So isom there versus, I guess, Santuan. Yeah, not too great on the proportions, a little too simplistic, but good try. Heja Hijman, I don't know. Oh, so he just made This is awesome. He made a manga of isom. Oh, that's great. It's got a little bit of realism to it. So this is all just pencil and gray shaded, grayscaling. So I wonder what he's actually saying in this, because you got to read it from right to left. Fun, definitely a fun thing, but not quite what they'd be looking for, I would think, for a cover. Travis Forbes. Yeah, this is it's not good. I mean, the abs go up to the chest, kind of wonky, and the color's just a little off. There's too many different, weird shading details, but it has an interesting feel to it. Jacqueline Morris. Oh, chibi. So we got the chibis, right? Chibi isom, chibi yaira, the alpha core. It's a fun piece. It's definitely a cute little piece. This could be great for stickers or something, but probably not going to cut it for, cover. Ryan Blah. So this is a very impressionistic art piece, but the details in the body are all over the place, and the face not very accurate to it. So not going to cut it. David Chandler. Kind of a weird mix between a Photoshop, hatchet of what looks like a photo and a hand-drawn pencil piece. Just the details don't really match all the way up, so probably not going to cut there. Yago Williams, I can illustrate it. Isom's face here looks a little bit awkward, that yelling thing. It's just, I don't know, it looks like that lipstick or something. And Yaira, there's a little bit too much dark tonality to it. Good try with that pose is in trying to make it look cool, but it's not gonna hold up. Phil Rivera. Okay, this is fascinating. So this is 3D rendering. Certainly excellent 3D work. The colors and the body and the tones, you can see the digital, I think, effects of the lighting on his body. Really good. It's up there. I'll set it to the side for now, but for a comic cover, I probably wouldn't cut it now, because it's, they would want comic style art. All right, Nico Guadalupe. This feels like a Netflix anime adaptation, Yeah, Isom's face just looks like he got hit on the pavement and got squished in. And then Yaira's got like a longer face and body. The details aren't all matching up to the actual design. So not going to cut it. All right, Kenny Chandler. All right, threw in all different characters there. I think that was very bold to go through and throw in all those different characters. Cool poses. The proportions a little bit off, maybe. The detail and the shading, the colors are not quite up there, but great to see. First issue cast team there. It looks awesome, but just not quite up to that style of comic book style. Alpha Core Rico Aguilar. Oh, it's animated. Okay, that's cool that they did that. I mean, it's not quite the what the thing they wanted. They didn't want animation, so that would be disqualified automatically. Joshua Bentley, something happened. You lost your submission. Ryan James. Okay, this is interesting. So this one would be automatically disqualified, by the rules. So the reason why is because you can't have Batman and Spider-Man. Those are other properties. So this one would be automatically out. The smooth tones on this are interesting, but I think the body of Isom's a little bit weird proportionally to the head. But hey, you went with, you try to be creative. It's cool. But yeah, this one just don't even have to think about anything else. Just the Batman Spider-Man would automatically disqualify it. Arturo Megarel. So, is this supposed to be Darren, or is this like Valadin cosplaying as Darren? I don't know, but it doesn't look too accurate to the original character. It's a little hard to see the details, so a little too dark. Sly Aguilar. So this is some interesting line work. So definitely more competent pencils and inks. The face is a little bit too awkward for me here. Some of the details on the body are hard to make out. It's definitely cool. I'm not sure that it would cut it though, without, especially in the competition, without colors, when there's going to be some ones that have fully colored options. Sean Stevens. Oh, anime edition. What is this? Is this one Isom Man? So yeah, this definitely has like an anime feel, which gives me a little bias toward it. But I think that Brian Solari's anime edition, rendition is actually probably the coolest part of this, because it's actually quite believable from the side. Isom, a little bit skinny on the jaw, of course, in the anime style, but the proportions a little bit off in the body. There, and the elbow sticks out a bit too much. Yaira is kind of interesting. She looks very gaunt and skinny, but I do like that. That'd be cool if someone made, a true anime adaptation version. That'd be wild. Benny Argrau. Smoother work in terms of how the strokes are, but I think it's a little awkward with this positioning. The face is a little bit weird. I like that they have in the Alpha Core team in the background. Yaira looks probably one of the best parts of this, but the style is definitely not up to what you'd expect for comic book stuff. But cool rendition. Ralph George, he tried. He definitely tried. So there's Yaira's butt. I don't know if you can write off that alone, but the proportions here totally off. That's not going to cut it. Justin and Cora Harvey. Okay. So very, rough, flat line work. There's a little bit too narrowing on the legs. The proportions are off. So if, they tried, but yeah, that's just not gonna cut it. Jesse D. Orozco. So this looks like it was mostly flatted. There's some shading, I think, maybe from the pencils, but they did color flats. They didn't do details. I think the facial structures are just a bit too off. The proportions a bit too off. But again, it's someone like this to me is someone who's entry-level comic book art, just trying it out. Sly Aguilar. Oh, there you go. He updated it. He's got some colors on this. Okay, so he did another submission. Okay, so this is not too bad. I would say the attention to detail in the style, there's some adaptations there in the boots. It gave him some 3D effect on the boots. In terms of comic book work, it's pretty good. The eyes, I don't know why he got rid of the irises. The purple energy is okay. It's not exactly my favorites. I'll set off to the side for now. It is very competent, but it's not, I don't know, probably won't make it in the end. Xian Wien. Oh, this is cool. So this is actually pretty good in this particular comic style. That's pretty good. I mean, it's not a crazy drawing. It's nothing special in terms of fighting action, but I would say, not bad for their own rendition of Santuan and Darren. I would have wanted them to put up that level of detail for the rest of the scene. They did a really good job in terms of overall general colors. Looks more like Photoshop, of course, and Illustrator because it's more smooth. I'll save it for now. There's probably going to be ones that, outdo it though soon enough. Nova Yasim. Yeah, the color's too flat. It looks a little bit more like a anime kids version, so it's like Teen Titans anime. But yeah, I mean, not bad for the style. In the genre they did it, but it's just not gonna be there. This is Shoujo Flow. So this looks like a real isom. I don't know what they did here. It almost looks like a real figure or something. What is this? Was it 3D? Is this an action figure? What is this? I don't know. It looks like a real person almost. It looks like maybe they did it in CGI with a realistic edge to it, but not enough of the rest of the character to really be for anything. So Bobby Camp. So it's just some, I don't know if that's pure pen. Oh, it looks like marker actually. Now I'm looking closer. Cool for marker. Not up to the level of comic book stuff though. Jeremy Hansen. The facial structure here on Yaira is just not going to cut it. I'm not sure if that's supposed to be dokumaan or whatever, but and the details on her is incomplete. They're not matching up the rest of her belts in the blue. So nope. Nicole Santiago. That's okay, like kind of like a anime version. So light anime version, yeah, not gonna be up to par. Nikesh Singh. Okay, so we got a little dokumaan, we got a little bit of isom. Yeah, the facial structure is not matched enough. There's definitely details, but it doesn't have that style that's needed. But a cool rendition within their own right. Josh Vieira, I think. So there's Yaira. Decent coloring there. I would say the coloring is the best part. Facial structure is a little bit too off. Yeah, I mean it's a cool piece. It's cool. I think that the eyes a little bit too off and the cheeks a little too off. to count, but definitely a cool piece. Prentice Dwayne Morris. Oh, wow. So this looks like Yaira is like a bodybuilder at the gym. This has a lot of like realism element and, you know, almost looks like painted on. Yeah, it's not quite comic book style-y, and Yaira doesn't quite have her attractive elegance there that you'd want. So yeah, I don't think that one's going to qualify. Marissa Young. So, wow. Isom here almost looks like, what's that actor from Mr. Robot? Let me see. Yeah, Rami Malek or Rami Malek. I don't know. Let me see here. Yeah, like he almost looks like Rami Malek here. His face looks a little bit like him. Yeah, it's not quite the accuracy to the characters and structures. So, all right, Alex Saldivar. Not bad here in terms of the penciling. I think that, you know, it's you can see the style, you can see it in the noses and the eyes that this is, you know, his rendition. This is pretty good. I wish it was done up with some colors. And I wish there was some more action. But in terms of the art piece, it's pretty good. I just think that, you know, without the colors, might be tough to compete. So I'm going to hold off on that one. Brian Pinau, another inks only. Isom doesn't quite have the facial structure that, you know, you really look for. The body's pretty good. The proportion's pretty good. I like the cow and the pasture thing. It's definitely one of the better inks for sure. I'm going to hold off on again because whenever it's not a completed piece with colors, sorry, did I say inks? I mean colors. With colors, it makes me want to hold off because there's going to be ones with colors. So Don Edwards, Yaira. So Yaira almost looks like Lady Gaga here with the white hair and stuff. Interesting rendition. I think those like deeper line, like 90s line comic style artwork just doesn't do it for me. But I mean, in terms of the piece itself, you know, it's cool. It's interesting. She got some thick old legs though. Monsters. All right. Tyler Marcelo or Marcello, I don't know. So this is Isom punching Santuan. You know, forearm's a little bit too Popeye there. I think the proportions need a little bit of work. The coloring's not bad. It's got this kind of interesting circular coloring pattern to how he does the body. It's a unique style, but it kind of is distracting to me, that style of coloring. I actually like the purple background the best in that one. All right, Zachary Schauster's Dokumaan. Yeah, it's a little too simplistic, but cool. A cool rendition of Dokumaan. Joel Torres. Oh, boy. Now we're getting to some heavy hitters. Okay, now this is gorgeous. So this right here is some fine work. This is, I struggle to know because, you know, at this point I've seen CGI style things that look like this kind of painted, whether this, you know, is done. Usually I try to look for the white reflections in the body to see whether or not it's going to be CGI or not, but this is excellent. This is top tier. The pattern of gold looks really regal. Her face actually looks pretty and proportional. The hair's great. I would say the only thing that's holding this one back, right, is the attention to detail. You know, Yaira, there's no blue hair. It's missing some of the detail in the belt, you know, the blue. So that's kind of a tough one there. That's kind of a tough one to do. So I would say in terms of competency, this is definitely one of the best pieces I've seen so far. So I'll open a new tab for now. It's by far one of the best pieces, but there are some knocks for consistency to the original. Hello. So let's see. Oroku Saki. Yaira looking there, looking pretty cool. Interesting art style. Face and body, not quite the continuity I'd want, but it is a cool piece. Definitely a cool piece. Pete Garcia. Lots of action. I wish this was colored. Isom's face, though, he looks like the Hulk, the 70s. this guy also took a risk by putting in a character fighting Yaira that I don't think is in the series. So you just lost your character there. I think Eric July's in the background. Maybe he's like, it looks like someone who's like Eric July in the background. So that's kind of interesting. I think this piece is definitely one of the cooler action shots. I just think that without colors, it'd be kind of tough. I'll set it to the side, but it is a cool overall piece. Lachem Amier. So this piece has some better colors than many of these. This is probably one of the more competent coloring pieces I'm seeing in terms of how the shading's done. Only problems are that, I mean, Darren's pretty good, but isom's a little bit weird. His facial structure, a little bit too narrow on the chin and nose. Brian Solari looks a little bit too square-jawed, a little bit too gaunt on the cheeks as to how the comic is. This is a tough one. There's a lot of competent aspects of this piece, but there are a lot of like little details that like make you push off to the side. I'll save it for now just because it's one of the best comic book style colorings, but it's still got some things left, wanting. Lewis Newman's got Yaira here. Yeah, a little too simple in the color stuff, but cool piece. Jacqueline Morris, I guess that's a Yaira edition. It looks very anime style, but not quite the comic book style looking for. Alpha Proto. So there's Alpha Core, super emerald green. The facial structure, stuff like that, the proportions they're not going to hold up for the mainstream comic style. A little bit too foreshortened on the legs and stuff in the chest. It's just a little disproportionate. All right, Calvin Wycliffe. That's a cool piece. Yaira, the nose, throws me off a little bit. I'd say body-wise and the design, there's a lot of attention to detail. It's really good. It's definitely competent. A tough one. I'm on the edge. I'm going to hold it back on this one. But I think this one, in terms of like, if you think about all the factors with line work, colors, detail, attention to detail, it's definitely one of the better ones. Might come back to it. We'll see. Leonard Cassiano. Yeah, it's cool that there's a lot of different characters, but the proportions, the facial structures, they're just not up to the comic book style that's needed. Jason Lee. Hey, here we go. So this is pretty competent. I would actually say the background here is probably the most competent aspect to this. The background's gorgeous. The detail where he's at, this cathedral kind of thing, is super epic. The coloring and shading's amazing. The light coming in, that's beautiful. Isom suit, pretty accurate there. The face is pretty close too. I'll set this off to the side. This is definitely one of the more competent pieces where the proportions are right. The face is pretty close. The background's good. So this is a pretty strong entry. EV Comics, interesting style, but yeah, too flat, not quite the real thing. Philip Mueller. Nice pencils. A little bit, not too close to the facial structure and style. So, but getting there. Tony Horton. The facial structure and the way that the colors are done, it's not quite accurate enough. And there's a little bit too much tapering into the midsection. So, all right, Michael Montanut. That's another one of those realistic or realism ones. So, yeah, I mean, cool. Definitely cool style, but not the comic book style I think they'd be going for. Lowell Lucas Jr. Pencil work. Looks like Yaira versus Isom. I think the proportions, the structure of the face, it's not quite there. It's not quite exciting, plus no colors. So, Timmons. Nice little quick sketch. I'd say Yaira Isom here, as a quick, like if someone just says a quick sketch, I'd be like, oh, it's a really good quick sketch, but not in the running for combo cover. Kevin Antonio Johnson. A little bit too much armage. Little too much arm in the proportion there. It looks like you can really reach far. So got to get those body proportions down. But the face is actually not terrible. Not too bad. Could just use some work on those proportions. Elijah Guerrero. He's like, bring it on. I think, proportions are an issue here too. With Ingrid and her booty kind of twisting one way and her body another way. And then Isom with his face a little bit too awkward angling that way. So, Amen Duano. That's a cool angle. Definitely pretty good coloring. I think the structures in their faces, though, are not quite the part I'd want for the character. So, not in the running. Mib, more artistic, in the shading, but not enough details. And the way they do the lighting here is a little bit too, or lacking details, a little bit just too glowy in those parts. So proportion's not right, but cool angle. Andrew V. Jacobs. Oh, here we go. Now we're talking. All right, so this right here is definitely a winner. This could very well be the person chosen for top. If you see here, we have Brian Solari coming down. This is an epic angle. You have isom here. The facial structure is really symmetrical. The body proportions are excellent. Coloring is pretty good. It's maybe not necessarily the coloring style I would choose, but it's very competent mainstream con professional. The proportions on each of these characters is excellent. Yaira looks epic. This is quality here. This is definitely quality. The detail to the belts and the boots and stuff, very much attuned to the actual Rippaverse canon artwork. So this is definitely, I'm going to zoom in a little bit. I mean, you just look at that. That's some good work. So I would definitely put Andrew V. Jacobs right now is currently in my lead for probably number one. So that looks like a real comic book cover. That looks like, it could be it. I mean, I wish there could be some more detail in the background, but it works. So Kenny, a Hero's Path Chandler. This is cool. A lot of cool action. Again, the style here, I think the color balance is not right on isom. A little bit too weird on the faces and proportions, but a cool rendition, especially with Darren shooting in the background. Cassidy Santillion, Alejandro Santillion, so maybe brother or sister or something. Well, that's cool. Yeah, I mean, if this was maybe some couple brother sister drawing it, that's cool. They have all the characters here. Of course, it's not up to the mainstream comic book style, but keep working at it. I definitely like how they drew all the characters here. Brandon Aldred. Okay, that's funny. So this is very like cartoony, like almost like newspaper cartoon. Funny drawing. I like, in terms of the artwork itself, this artist is competent, but I just think the style is not quite comic book style. That what they want. So DK Ospina. Okay, isom here looks like you got Luffy's eyes or something. They got dokumaan's hands. So interesting action, but not quite up there. All right, Kenworth. So some type of realism, definitely not good muscle proportions and facial structures. So engaging style in terms of an angle, but yeah, that's not going to cut it. Russell Barrios. For the style, not too bad, but yeah, this is not quite the comic book style, and it's too loose on the details. And then, isom's outfit, I think the waistline is a little bit too high. Carcelius Parham. I don't know where his belt stuff went, but yeah, I mean, it's just a pencil drawing. The proportions not all there, so keep working at it. Jessica Harley Hape Spears, Dokumaan holding the trading cards. I mean, that's a fun concept. The art is, of course, not quite proportional to everything, and the details aren't all there. I almost thought that he was holding a card of Voluntarius down there because it's like yellow instead of orange. I wonder if they switched from using CMYK to RGB or something. All right, Kyle Vaughn. Interesting style, very grungy, not up to what would need to be, but a cool concept. Definitely a cool concept. Matthew Stuck, SJW Yaira. I don't think that's going to fly. Interesting rendition. William Jameson. Yeah, the proportions here just not up to theirs. His forearms curving instead of the elbow. Brian Solari looks a little too skinny, not stacked. So looks almost pencil. Yeah, probably pencils. So yeah, facial structure not there, but cool try, cool vision for what you could do. I just think it would, needs to be brought up to a little bit more comic book style standard. Jolly Raja. Yeah, just some pencil work, not quite accurate to the face. Valid Fong. Okay, what is this? Some type of flat colors. The faces look a little awkward, positions awkward. And yeah, the proportions are a bit off there, so a little too smooth. Okay, TN Wei, I don't know. Vietnamese names sometimes tough. So isom Yaira, cool artistic vision in terms of a concept, but the details and the facial structures not up to par. Joshua Ignatowski. Oh, goody, my new cards arrived. That's a cute little rendition, cool like chibi idea, but yeah, that wouldn't be cover art worthy. Luis Mendoza. All right, so this is interesting because this right here has a very 80s comic book feel. So whoever did this, I would say their line work is strong. Their proportions are undeniably pretty good. Their coloring has, more of a retro feel, almost like a manual colors, like, by pencil or something, almost that kind of feel, though, it looks like it's digitized. The face is a little off for me on both of them. They both have a little bit of maturity and grit to them. I would say it's definitely one of the best pieces, in terms of competent comic book art, but I'm not sure the style would cut it. So I'll set it off to the side and think about it, but yeah. Pot. Whoa. So this is a lot of crazy detail. What the heck? Let me take a look at this. Oh, where'd it go? Okay. It's like jumping out of here. So, wow. Look at all that detail. Someone put a lot of work into this. Her face is a little too scary, mystic, alien eye, but the detail is cool. And the concept is cool. I think the concept of, having like what looks like dokumaan, hands over yaira, that's a very cool concept. Just not up to the, artwork style that, would be good for a cover. Texan. So almost, it looks like a hand painted thing. Interesting concept. There's nothing too exciting about this. It's a little too plain. The facial structure is just not there. So some of the details in the boots missing too. So tentacle pentacle. Okay. Yeah, a little too cartoony, proportions a bit off, colors a bit off, especially Yaira and stuff. So, and then isom looks like an ogre. His head's so small. So yeah, it's, it's an interesting style. It's not quite the style that they'd be going for. Jacques Roux. Oop, come back. Whoa. Okay. All right. I just got to look at her face here because Yaira looks like she's about to I don't even know, man. She's like about to either kill someone or like try to get out the largest dump she's ever taken. Yeah, a little too unflattering in the face. I mean, the intensity's there, but not very sexy. And then isom, the facial structure it looks a little too awkward there. Cool concept, but a little awkward with Yaira's body position too. So, but that face again, some of these are gonna make for some great memes. All right, so yeah, I ain't gonna cut it. All right, let's see here. Eric Pfeiffer. Wow, a lot of detail in the pencil work. You can just see right away that, well, it is really cool in terms of what he's done. The facial structure, especially isom Yaira, just ain't selling it for me. Without the colors, it doesn't put it in the running for me as compared to ones that have already been done where there's colors too. So I think it's a cool concept. I think it needed better execution or finishing for this one. Jericho Calabero. Okay. I don't know. I guess it's their own rendition of plainclothes isom and Yaira, so it's not very special. Nothing bad as an art piece, in and of itself. It's, it could be a style that I would, see in some indie comics, but it's not quite good enough for that high level. Giselle. Yeah, proportions, colors, they're too flat, not enough detail, but cool concept. Just needs a little bit more, work to get to that mainstream style execution. Stranger. Very fantasy art. Proportions not that exciting. The background's a little bit too muted. The angling's not all that juicy. So probably not there. FS Smith. Oh, okay. Another funny face. There's some really funny faces in this. Look at that face. What's going on for her? She tripping? Yeah, I mean, the facial structure is not very good there. Interesting pose, but not quite the execution needed for this. Okay. So I think we hit the end of the road, and now we need to go ahead and get some real strong judgment, detail here, because I have a selection of things I pulled to the side. So I'm gonna flip through them all first, the ones that I was looking at, and I'm gonna just generally overview them, and then we'll start to pull from the ones that I think are actually top notch. So this CGI rendition, I do like it. I mean, it's very cool. But the graininess is really throwing it for me. I don't like this graininess, and it kind of frustrates me and irritates me to see it. The 3D CGI is cool, but the graininess is really holding me back. This one, which I think there was a pencil version, a colored version, definitely competent artwork, but there are some details on the belt missing, the colors on the shoes, the face is not exactly what I expect. But not wowing me. This one of Santuan and Fontano, the actual work on the characters is actually really good. Like how they do the facial structures really matches the comic series style. I think the shading and the coloring on this is really good. I think that whoever did the foundations to it, if they had just did more detail in the back on this, could really take it up. I would love to also see what it would be like to have, maybe a colorist on this from Rippaverse. If Gabe did the colors, that this artist did the ink work and then Gabe did the colors, I'd be interested to see. But this is, I would say, in terms of character style design, an excellent rendition. The characters here really look like Darren and Santuan, and they really took their time to get those facial structures right, which I really am a stickler for here, because if you're going to draw a Rippaverse official cover, right, you want to expect it to really look like the characters. So this Yaira is again gorgeous, like absolutely incredible on the detail. This is really an excellent artistic rendering. The feminine features just look very attractive and proportional, and the realism here, it really you're sold like this is like a real character. I would say, again, the detail on Yaira, in terms of the actual suit design, does leave a little bit to be desired, just because I would have liked to have seen on this some more of the details that would actually match up. So let me see here. So here's a Yaira poster, for example. So this is official, right? And we have that blue crest in the belt. We have like this, chest design that, comes down and kind of V shapes around the boobies. You have, these kind of flaps going around her and stuff. This has a different top design. It does make it more realistic, I will say. It does give it a more like real world Envision feel, which is why I kind of like appreciate it. So I don't know. I think that in terms of art style, it's not the comic book art style, and I'm also tabling that for a moment, just noting that there's multiple tiers of winners. This could readily be, a tier 2, tier 3 winner in terms of high quality art. It's just, I really wish that they put the blue crest, the blue triangle, on the waistband. They should have done that. I don't know why they didn't. They spent so much time getting everything else so right. Why, I don't know why they left that out. Frustrates me, but we'll see. All right, so we have this piece where it's just really cool. The pencil work here and the detail in the scene is excellent. I think that this is a very competent comic book line work page. I think though that isom here, his body is a little bit weird and wide, and his face makes him look a little bit older. So that's my only frustration, is that independently this is a pretty cool page, but there's some details that are holding it back. Then there was this one, which I think I might have to let go because I think we found better. But this piece, the colors are excellent. I'd say the colors are probably some of the best part. The facial structures, a little bit off on the proportions and style. It doesn't quite look like them. But whoever did colors for this, I think they're a good colorist. And they could, their overall could work well with, a decent set of inks and pencils down. So... all right. Then we have this piece here, which to me is an excellent art piece. Like this, if you look at the detail in the background, I mean, it's gorgeous. Someone took a lot of time making that background, and it's beautiful. There's the attention to detail, this cathedral that kind of emanates and lights up isom. And overall, his face is pretty close. May not be absolutely perfect, but it's definitely one of the closer ones. And he made sure to get at least, the belt tops with the white stripes. He's got the cross and the side stripe, at least one. Some of the other renditions had those side gold stripes going around the side. Eric's going to have to step up and say what's officially canon, because there is some continuity conflict in isom's stuff in some of the different things that were released. So he needs to say what is officially canon. But this right here, in terms of drawing style and stuff like that, is a very competent piece. Not exciting in terms of there's not like a big action or anything like that, but this the proportions, the shading, the detail, this is very worthy. Then we have what I think is probably my favorite. So this piece right here, the reasons why it's my favorite is it's just excellent design with all the characters. All the characters have great proportions, great facial expressions, really close design to what you see that's canon. Great attention to detail on isom's overall body structure, face, and suit design. He's got the cross, he's got the side pieces. I would have filled those in maybe with the more bright colors, and then he even has the two rings on the feet for the boots. The bottom of the soles isn't colored. His bottoms are colored on the and I'll show this real quick just for reference. isom's soles are covered. Oh, I'm like, what am I doing? Right here. You can see down below that on the A cover, there, my finger. So you can see they actually have the white on the bottom, which I thought, that should be canon personally. I think that this style here should definitely be the canon style, because it looks super sick to have like the white bottom on the shoes and everything else. So yeah, it's going to be, not exactly precise, but nonetheless within one of the renditions that was done officially from the Rippaverse. Even Ingrid in the background looks really pretty and proportional in her motion and everything, just really good. Braxwell looks super cool, down, bloody. There's just a lot of suspense here. And with, Brian coming down, like you really are brought into the center where isom is. I think this is probably one of the best pieces, if not the best, considering all factors. Then there was this piece, which has a very 80s comic book feel, maybe early 90s, but I don't know. I immediately think 80s comics. What's good about it is there's a lot of great line work. The proportions overall good. There's some stuff missing on the details here with the belt and his boots, which is a little frustrating to me, but Yaira was done a little bit more accurate. The facial structures make them look older, which is a little frustrating to me because it's just the nature of this type of line work, especially that 80s style. Like everybody looks a little bit more, ragged because there's so many different extra line strokes. I could take it or leave it, but overall, this is definitely one of the better pieces out of everything. It's got not the best colors, but definitely competent colors. I would have done the background with more detail than just doing the purple haze thing, but the main characters up front and everything, the battle stuff, it's pretty cool. It's up there, but I'm not sure that it's going to beat out the rest. This Yaira from the beginning, I think that this design is excellent. I think that the line work here and the coloring is super cool. And now, of course, it is a limited color palette, which to me, on one hand is great as, for a poster, and this looks beautiful. I think this is an excellent piece, but if you're trying to be like, I want to get the cover commission, you got to show what you came to do, which is, actually be able to do a cover that's going to, really be like, oh, okay, that's the next issue cover. Hard to do that when you do something that's a little bit more artistic with a limited color palette. I think that the styling and the shading overall, it's pretty good. You got some booty action there. Although the booty does kind of sit a little bit more to the viewer in a weird way. The more I look at it, the more I'm like, wait a second, how is she angling her butt like that? Now I'm confused. She's like almost twisting. But it's if we're really coming down to the wire, there's a couple that might beat that out. So then we have this Yaira picture, which I think in terms of style, excellent. You know what I mean? This is very modern comic booky feel. It could also feel a little bit manga-y because that sharp nose, like that kind of mix. I at least like that the background is like a simple background that's artistic, for if you're just like, I just want to showcase the character kind of thing and not have them in a cover environment. I definitely think that this would compete with this one in terms of like that level of like, okay, these are on their same playing field. But is it enough? That's a tough, we have a couple that are really good. So then we have this Brian Solari drawing. The line work is solid. Colors, mainstream, competent. The whole thing looks like something you would expect in a comic book page. That isn't in a modern comic potentially. The face is so-so in terms of like, holding to his style, but I think within the artist style, it works pretty well. Details too in the background stuff is pretty cool. I'm not sure what they did. It almost looks like they used a photo in the background. I'm not sure if that's a texture or not. It's kind of hard to see. But the buildings and stuff, it was definitely epic and not too bad on the proportions considering this is, a four-long kind of position. But it's not as juicy and exciting as compared to some others still. We really need something right that's going to be top tier if you're going to be 1, 2, or 3 here. And then we have, lastly, this Rippaverse isom 3D figure, which to me stands out because again, it's a 3D figure. So obviously not when this guy's not going to be cover material, right? But this looks like this is a ready to go prototype toy. Like this looks like this person really took the time to study Isom's face, get down his facial characteristics, the stash, the beard, he's got to give him a big package there. Huh? The cross, the little side kind of I don't know what they'll ultimately be. Honestly, I'm not sure if they like hold anything or if there's anything special about those little metal pieces. But the feet, right? Excellent, transition of turn that into like a 3D kind of thing with the rings on the boot. He chose not to do the white sole, but that's fine. And then even the base here is pretty incredible. Like, just like cracking into it. This looks like it's something that is prototyped, ready to go to like be manufactured in another country. So this is definitely not going to be number one. It can't be, for the cover art. But in terms of, oh, okay, wow, this is a very competent like rendition of isom in 3D and could literally be a figurine with maybe 1 or 2 tweaks. Yeah, that's pretty great. All right, so now that we're there, let's go ahead and eliminate the clear ones that like absolutely are just not going to cut it. So this one, as cool as it is, all line work, the isom's face, the body style here, it's just not doing it for me. But definitely a cool page. So that's out. Let's see here. Let's see. So this artwork, I'm still a little bit torn on. This one I think I'm more ready to let go of because at the end of the day, while this is a cool drawing, it's still not fully in the style that they'd want for the comic, and it doesn't have all the rest of the colors, so dropping that one out. This rendition of isom, again, it's very competent artwork, but some of the details just are not inspiring for me. The action's not as inspiring. I don't like that his eyes are like really shut up in one corner where you almost can't see that. His eye looks just a little too weird, and the face is just not doing it for me. So, goodbye. Gotta get out of here. Gotta get out of here. All right. This is getting real tough. So this 3D rendering of Isom and Yaira, super cool, great attention to detail. I do love it. Personally, I wish that they chose a different pose. I wish it wasn't so grainy. You know, there's only so many things I can do for the 3D rendering thing. And, you know, I don't think that as cool as this is, I would have to go with the Rippaverse isom figurine over that one, just because this Rippaverse isom figurine is just so complete. You have the whole front of him. You see his face. He's, you know, well posed. This looks like something you can literally go in a store and buy. It's even got, you know, like the nameplate on it. You know, that really takes it to the next level for me in terms of a piece. All right, now we have this Darren Fontaine and Santuan. This piece, again, whoever did this, I'm not going to check on the exact name, although probably should. This piece right there. Oh, let me go pull this back up so I have it ready to go. So this piece here with Darren and Santuan, it's excellent. I think that the drawing style with the particular characters, I mean, easily could be one of the top ones. I think what they missed out on doing and what they maybe should have done is they maybe should have just added some more detail to the environment, maybe somehow, and maybe a picture that incorporates more of the story to it or something else. It's kind of just sad to me they didn't, because I think that their art style is very mainstream competent in terms of the line work, and they do look a lot like the characters. It's just that there are a couple pieces on the table that have more, they have more detail and other things. It's frustrating. I really wish that they did. I wish that they had just thrown a little bit more of a bone in the background with something like a picture, maybe like a isom wanted poster or something like that. So I will have to drop it. All right. So we're coming down to the last few. So right now, my focus is specifically on how accurate are the characters. How likely is this person going to be able to repeat designing a cover if they were in first place, right? So that's another thing too. Is if we're thinking about whoever is going to be first, we have to think, okay, would they be able to do that? So I would say, as of right now, I'm willing to give this figurine the third spot. I think the figurine deserves third because it stands out in its own right. Obviously, they couldn't be the cover artist with this type of style, but the artwork and the attention to detail is absolutely incredible. The proportions incredible. And it's really something that deserves to be a part of the top three. Absolutely. So now we're down with just the other top two spots. So number two, again, I'm looking specifically at. I'll just pull this back up here. The line work, color detail, proportions, creativity, accuracy to canon. So for number two, we need something that really gives us the biggest bang for our buck. And what we have here is, we have a standalone Yaira, which again, this is a gorgeous picture, but there's some details off. We have this standalone Yaira, which is super cool, but as compared to, something of this nature, I would say this Yaira wouldn't cut it compared to that picture, right? So if we're just doing comparisons, that's a tough sell. So that one's out. Now we have this 80s version, which again, it's great detail, but there's just some things missing on here, and their faces are just throwing it off a little bit for me. So and since it does have a more 80s style, I think it's a little bit more dated. So I'd have to say this one's going to be out. All right. So now we're down to, for the second place spot, we have the Yaira standalone. We have this isom cover here. We have this other isom cover. And then we have this Brian Solari drawing. So the question is this Brian Solari, to me, is it better than this Yaira drawing? Now, this Yaira is truly incredible. But as incredible as it is, I'm paying attention to those details, and there's no blue gem. And this rendition doesn't exactly follow the original. So that's throwing me off. It's really throwing me off. So, you know, it's a tough call. But I think that this Brian Slurry is probably going to go. Because as cool as it is, it's just not as it doesn't stick with me one way or the other, like one big way. So I think at this point, it's going to be easier to pick number one than number two. I think number one clearly stands out here. So this to me is absolutely number one. And I'll pull up the page here for the name here. Just want to make sure. I think it's Andrew. Let me see. Yeah, Andrew V. Jacobs. So, yeah, Andrew V. Jacobs is the one who did this poster. I think nobody else except maybe this other person has a better total package for number one spot. Andrew V. Jacobs has got isom front and center, good proportions, good relative lighting. He's even got Yaira in the back with a cool action sequence. He's got Braxwell. He's got an ominous Brian Slurry coming in. You can see in the details in the face that this person really knows what they're doing when it comes to, setting up the color balance, the proportions of everything. I mean, everything is very smooth. So I'm thinking that Andrew V. Jacobs gets the number one spot. So right now we have number three. So that's a Rippaverse isom figure. We have number one. I think this is the clear winner. You have lots of good characters, great positioning, great line work, coloring overall is well balanced. Although I would probably do a different coloring style, but nonetheless for what was chosen, it was excellent. So now for number two, I'm just between this Yaira and this isom cover, and it's very tough because if they were choosing, they might. I could imagine that they might think that, okay, well, they already got their isom front and center, so this is just another front and center. So part of me wants to say that this should be number two, and it's a close call, but I think that this Yaira will probably take number two. And the reason why is because it's just such an incredibly rich and detailed, realistic version of Yaira that it just is inspiring. Even with some of those missing details, it's just an incredible. It could be like a painting. It's that like a detailed, like real life, style painting. So it's a tough call, but that's my guess. So I'm thinking this isom with Andrew V. Jacobs. Oh, where'd he go? That will probably take number one spot. I think that the Yaira by Joel Torres will probably take number two, just because it is so elegant and she's represented so beautifully and so proportionately and epically. And then I think number three will probably be, I gotta find it. Where'd it go? Somewhere here. Where's the figurine? I probably scrolled past it or something. Then dun, 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 dun. All right, so I'll go start at the top and then scroll down. Watch someone yell stop whenever they see it. Wait, oh, what? See, this is what happened. Okay, there we go. I just got to use my scroll wheel. I don't know why it went all the way back up. Okay, I'm going to find it. Okay, why did I? All right, I just passed it, didn't I? What the heck? Did my eyes just miss it? I'm so confused. People are probably like, you just passed it. People are screaming. Where is it? Why am I suddenly, my eyes are deceiving me. And I suddenly can't find. I'm going to look at the comments. They're like, oh, I don't know why I can't, like my eyes keep glossing over it. I don't know what it is. My eyes keep missing the artist who did the 3D figurine. I don't know. Maybe because I'm just looking for the wrong thing. Like I got to squint now. I did just get an eye checkup today. I don't know why I can't suddenly see it. Maybe I'll just... All right, so this was 01 scaled. I don't know if there's any case. I forgot who the artist is, but someone in the comments who's who oh, there it is. Of course. Now I take a look away for 1 second and then my eyes fixate on it. So Anthony Lopez. Okay, there we go. Lopez. So Anthony Lopez there. I'm going with number 3 in terms of the contest. So if you would let me know what you think the top 3 will be, what you think what number 1 will be. I'd love to hear what it is that you think is going to win. I'm going on, my bets on this cover. Absolutely. Andrew Jacobs. I think that this cover, again, because the person who wins is going to have to draw a new cover. So I'm sitting there saying, okay, who's the one that most likely is like, competent enough in their presentation to competently draw a cover that would be worthy of the universe. And this is, to me, one of the few total packages where it's like, okay, they got everything down at a, mainstream competent level. So, but we'll see what happens. All right. Thanks so much, everybody, for hanging out. And I know I didn't get to see everyone's comments here. Oh, Igor, one of the Rippaverse artists. He's awesome. He happened to stop by, so that's good to see him. And what's up, Pika Pika, and a bunch of other people who I missed out. C4C, Tank Ferret, a bunch of other people. Bugged. That's really funny. All right. So thanks again for hanging out. And I'm excited to see what the results are. I'm going to be, paying attention to that, talking about the results when they come out too, seeing who actually ended up winning. And it'll be cool to see how close my predictions came to it, and also how close your predictions come to it in the comments. Who knows? I mean, maybe someone will nail it perfectly, even if I made a mistake on which one would be it. So I might get it perfectly right in the comments. So we'll see. All right. Take care, everybody. Talk to y'all later.
Zero State with Jack.